So today I thought I'd do something a bit different. I thought I would review a book. Now I know what you're thinking. You're probably like, what, you? Read a book? But no, seriously. But the book is called How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And the reason I picked up this book is because I wanted to improve my social and conversation skills, and to gain some advice on how to be more interested in other people, I suppose. Because I think it's a real skill to be able to be interested in somebody else and their interests as well. I think as people we have a tendency to only be interested in ourselves, and that's only natural, but I think if you're able to talk about somebody else and what they like, then it can be a real skill. There's a real art to it, and I always felt like that was something I always wanted to work on, and I still feel like it's something I want to work on even after reading this book. So when I saw this book on Amazon, I was kind of like, oh, this looks really interesting, and so I read it, and it took me a while, but I think it took, it's like, I think it's 500 pages. It's really long, but it's totally worth it. But I read it and I was like, this has some of the best advice I have ever come across. And I'm one of those people that I watch these channels that help, that are supposed to make you more confident or help you to, have all these conversation tactics. And this book had, compared to the advice that those channels give out, this book had, its advice was so much better. It was on such a clearer level. I don't know. I think what the book did best it did a really good job of breaking down the type of language you can use to persuade others, to listen to your ideas, or how you can listen to others' ideas better as well. So I know I've talked already a bit about the things I got out of this book, but there are some other things that I really wanted to talk about that I thought would be important to mention while talking about this book. And so one of the other things that this book was really good at showing was how giving honest and sincere appreciation can really make the difference. So, the small things like saying thank you and letting others know how much you appreciate their efforts. And then another thing that the book really hammered home was being a good listener, which you might think again is like, oh, I know that already. We learned that in school. That's what they tell you in school. But again, I think a lot of people, not without meaning to, just overlook it. They don't even think about it. And it's like one of the things that is, again, it's a real skill and it takes time to learn. And this book was really good at giving clear examples on how you can do that and how it can benefit you when talking to potential employers or like business partners or friends or just when you're talking with anyone in general. And then one of the great tips it had was encouraging others to talk about themselves, which is great, because if you can do that, then you don't have to really do much of the effort. You can just listen to them, and it's that easy. And so advice like that is really helpful for someone like me who just struggles to talk about himself. And so what the book did really well was it showed how asking questions can help you to get someone else talking, which again is great for anyone who is put in a situation where they are with somebody they don't know and you have no common interests, and or you don't know what their interests are. And so the best way, what this book was saying was the best way to counter that is to just ask questions, which I found was really, really helpful. And I would really recommend anyone else to apply that and see if it works for you, because I think I can definitely safely say it works for me, and I think it's a really great tactic if that is something you struggle with. So as well as just being a really good book on how to improve your communication skills, this book is also really good for anyone who is looking to improve their business skills, or who wants to set up a business. It had some really good advice on how to sell your ideas to other people without coming across as rude or needy or like too pushy. There was some really great advice on how to write letters by talking about what you could both get out of it rather than what only you could get out of it, which was just showing how, like, by talking in terms of their interests, not just your own, you can get them to be more keen to employ you, which I thought was fantastic, if that makes sense. And I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but a lot of the examples in the book were a little bit outdated, kind of a bit old. A lot of the politicians and businessmen it mentions, I had no idea who they even were. I'd never heard of them before. I think that's because the book was written in 1963, which makes total sense. So that is why it makes total sense that I wouldn't recognise any of the people, is what I'm trying to say. But when the book kind of makes up for it with really clear examples, when I read the examples, I was kind of like, even though they were outdated and kind of old, I was still able to look at them and read them and go, oh, I can see how that would be of use to me, or how I could apply that to when I'm in conversation with somebody, or how I could apply that to when I'm writing to a future employer. So it kind of made up for it with those clear examples. So I wouldn't be put off by that at all. It's just a minor thing that I thought I'd mention. Might put you off, might not, but it didn't put me off, actually. So I think I've said most of what I wanted to say about this book. I would really recommend it to anyone really of any level, even if you are like an expert in business or like an expert in conversation. I'd still recommend reading it because there was so much that I found insightful and that I found really helped me just by reading it once as well. And I think that's the great thing about this book, is that it is aimed at anyone really. You don't have to be an aspiring businessman to read it. You just have to be somebody that wants to improve their communication skills, and that's fantastic. Me personally, as somebody that struggles with talking to others, I find it a really, really insightful book. And the great thing about this book as well is that it's available on Audible and Kindle, and on in physical form as well, which is great. So if you want to pick it up, you can choose whichever one of those suits you. I personally would advise actually reading it instead of listening to it, because I find that is a lot. I take advice in better that way, but you may be different. But that's how I would read it. If you're looking to get the best out of it. But yeah, this has been my review of How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Let me know if you want to see similar content to this in the future. I know it's a bit different, but I just really wanted to talk about this book because I feel like it really helped me and it could help others. So yeah, thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.